Masaccio is a 15th century Florentine artist who has been enshrined as one of the founding figures of Italian Renaissance painting. Masaccio's stunning accomplishments are best represented in the frescoes he's created in the Brunaccio Chapel, where he was commissioned to finish up the series of St. Peter's story started by Masolino. In the section The Tribute Money, Masaccio skillfully conveys the biblical scenario through a tripet narration. Jesus instructs Peter to find money from a fish's belly and pay to the tax collector. What is astonishing about this painting is the use of chiaroscuro, linear perspective, and atmospheric perspective that bestows the painting a high level of closeness to nature. Unlike paintings in medieval Gothic style, in which characters are all smothered in a dim and soft light with the unidentifiable light source, Masaccio chose a point on the right that emanates light towards the scene. The unified portrayal of shadows among different characters not only gives a three-dimensional quality to the figures, but also echoes the light condition in reality, for the window is located exactly to the right of the fresco in the church. Masaccio also applied linear perspective to his art. He deftly assigned the head of Jesus as a vanishing point, intentionally navigating viewers' attention towards Christ. In the background, he inventively employed the technique of atmospheric perspective by giving a faint and pale touch to the sceneries and arranging them at an eye level, so the mountains could visually recede into the far distance. It thus creates an illusionistic depth within the scene. Vasari also praises Masaccio for the vividness that he has achieved, in particular by pointing out his adept delineation of St. Peter's leaning post by the river and the characteristic emotions appearing to the group of the two to the right. According to Vasari, Donatello is considered to be the greatest and ideal Renaissance artist of all time. As a sculptor, Donatello's dedication to creating lifelike statues and creations, so lifelike to the point to where his work is thought to have been carved by the real thing itself, has given him praise even outside of his era. He is noted for the individuality, refining and reviving the classical methods, and for taking previous conventions and make them fresh again. For example, take his bronze statue of David. The bronze statue marks a huge turning point for the era by reimagining the subject itself and restructuring the overall form of the final product. The statue marks the first time in 1,000 years that a nude statue was presented to the public, not seen since the classical era. As a biblical figure, David was often shown as a king to present him at his highest, but Donatello presents a youthful David, during the time he has slain Goliath with his head between his legs. The nudity presentation and the context in hand presents David in a sense of triumphant humility and antiquity, very fitting for a conqueror in a post-battle position. Additionally, Vasari states that he cannot believe that it is not molded after a human being, a testament to Donatello's craft of creating a very lifelike figure. Fra Angelico's early Renaissance style embodies a religious attitude and reflects a strong classical influence. Angelico, apart from being an excellent painter, was also a friar. Both of his professions were reflected in his paintings in a phenomenal manner. Vasari even states, "They are full of life, their expressions are gentle and charming, and moreover the coloring would well be the work of one of the angels or saints themselves." In other words, Angelico painted like an angel because he was, in personal life, an angel himself. His talent was the result of a simple and devoted life, which can be seen in his Annunciation painting. The lack of depth in which the figures are painted, and the lack of symbols all contributes to the simplicity of the scene. Mary sitting on a plain wooden stool, her arms crossed, wearing modest clothes, with the darker color halo around her head are all the indicators of a simple and modest painting that puts more value in the intense mood and expression that is being shown. While both the angel and Mary seem set apart from the world due to the open doorway behind Mary's back, they are still engaging in a private conversation with the way they are mirroring each other while also leaning towards each other. This was shown in a harmonious manner with the wings, the columns, the building color contrasting with the trees at the back, and with the colors of both the angel and Mary's clothes. The perspective, coloring, and the modest portrayal of the figures are one of the reasons why Angelico's work is seen as a supernatural phenomenon. Leonardo da Vinci combined grace, beauty, and talent in one portrait, which resulted in an artwork so divine it historically overthrew all previous portraits. Da Vinci was taught in all types of art forms, but his main specialty came in the form of the Mona Lisa. Commissioned by Francesco del Di Cogno to create a portrait of his wife, Da Vinci procrastinated on the piece for about 4 years and still hasn't finished it by the time it ends up in King Francis of France's collection. The portrait shows detailing what was incomparable to any other. The eyes has that watery and synced textures that symbolize life. The nostrils of the nose has this beautiful, tender, and rosy tint that gives the nose a lively presentation. The painting is also very famous for an optical illusion known as the mysterious smile, in part of the flesh tints of the face and the redness of the lips, among others. If we look carefully at the throat, we can even see her pulse beating. The smile, so divine and natural, is hard to describe. So marvelous, the painting looks realistic to the public eye. The peripheral vision creates the illusion that the focus of the audience shifts from the eyes of the Mona Lisa's portrait to the lips. When one looks at the eyes of the Mona Lisa, it appears to be smiling, but when you switch your gaze to her lips, for some reason the smile disappears. The Mona Lisa sets a new standard for future portraits because of its admirable focus of a backdrop of a distant landscape with a woman in a half-body portrait position. The shadow schema of the face is created with the sfumato technique developed by Leonardo himself. The contemporary painting of the Mona Lisa has revolutionized portrait painting. Leonardo da Vinci's exploratory drawings inspired more artists to complementary studies for their paintings. Originally called Tiziano da Cadore, Titian is a descendant of the Visili family. At the age of 10, he was sent to live with his uncle in Venice, who sent him to learn from Bellini. Much like the rest of the Venetian artists, Titian wasn't exposed to the works of the ancients and therefore used nature as his primary reference. In 1507, he began implementing Giorgione's technique of applying paint without drawing. He was criticized by Vasari for his inability to draw and for not pursuing his artistic studies as well as he should have. His techniques includes a usage of warm, flushed tones and impasto, which is a buildup of oil painting, making it appear very tactile. One of his most known works is the Venus of Urbino, which is an upgraded version of the Sleeping Venice by Giorgione. In Titian's piece, Venice is awake, looking straight into the viewer's eyes. It is meant to create a sense of eroticism, which could be established through her nudity, the messy sheets, and placement of her left hand. She is said to be a symbol of a new, young bride who is accepting and inviting her husband.